Joining us live now is Pauline Hanson, One Nation Senator. Pauline, thank you for your time.
Good morning.
Now, you've introduced a private member's bill about regulating what goes into schools. Can you tell us about what exactly you're hoping to achieve?
Well, on the curriculum, what I wanted is a balanced presentation of views based on politics, science and, I've got a blank,
history as well was in there, I think.
Yeah, thanks, Tom.
I know, it's been a long day. Can you tell us why exactly do you think this needs to be introduced? Curriculum is pretty regulated right across the country. Is there actually a specific issue?
That's the point, it is regulated, but the parents don't have a say or an input in what their children are being taught. Now, this was the case in the UK with Stuart Dimmock, and he challenged the schooling system, the educational system. It was already in place in the laws there about the balanced view of teaching the children. So he took it to the courts and took on the educational system. He actually won that case. And so it gives the parents a right to challenge the educational system. All I'm saying is, let's have a balanced view instead of this partisan view that's been put before our children.
Presumably parents aren't going to intervene though unless they have a strong belief of their own. It's probably going to be very different from what is being taught in their curriculum.
But they've got nowhere to take it.
But why should they be allowed to? Why not just have a basic curriculum of agreed facts that everyone can address?
So you see, part of this, my bill doesn't take into account about maths, English or other cases because it's based on fact. When we talk about politics, we talk about climate change or what's happened in history, there's not necessarily a balanced view about it. And what I'm hearing constantly all the time over the years is people who go through our educational system, and we know that's been taken over by the left, they're actually saying, well, look, you're going to have this view about what we're teaching you, and you're going to answer the questions we want the way you to answer it, otherwise you won't be marked.
A lot of people would say science is not really a left-right issue. When you say climate change is skewed or not balanced, what are you saying specifically?
Well, the fact is they were pushing about climate change as man-made. This was the case, what happened with Stuart Dimmock in the UK. They were teaching his child that climate change is man-made. Where was the opposing view to it? And there is an opposing view. There are scientists out there that actually don't agree with the push that it's man-made, climate change. And they put across Al Gore's film. Did they put across the film of the great global climate change swindle? Now, that's a lot of other scientists who oppose us. Why is one group of scientists' views regarded and the other one isn't?
Science is very rarely a case of 100%. It's around the majority of views and what's been borne out. I mean, there are some scientists, a very, very small number, that think vaccinations can give you various diseases. Should we be teaching that as well?
Well, look at Peter Ridd in Queensland University. He actually was teaching away. The university said, no, sorry, you can't teach that way. He actually took them to court over and he won the case.
But just on the question I just put to you, so should we teach the very, very minority view that vaccinations can give children things such as Down syndrome or autism?
No, Tom, we're heading down, you're not heading down that path, right? The whole fact is that we should have a balanced view of it, that you give the kids a chance to actually challenge it and not just agree with what is put before them. Because I know of cases, and students have said to me, if we don't answer the question this way, we're marked down. And the case point was when it was being taught in the educational system about myself and my politics. We had teachers who were totally opposed to my politics, and they were teaching that in the classroom.
But just on the side,
that's not right.
Politics is always sort of hard. People have different left and right views, but science is a different matter. So would you have schools then teaching things contrary to what our own scientific bodies recommend? From the CSIRO says climate change is happening through man-made, through carbon dioxide. Yes, that's what the CSIRO. Yes.
Well, I think you better watch this space with Malcolm Roberts because he has been challenging the CSIRO, and the IPCC has not really been delivering the right information. Okay. So they have lied in the reports that have been handed down.
Okay, well that's a contention you're putting forward. Let me put this to you.
Malcolm, let's have a balanced
Malcolm
view.
Roberts,
okay,
but
Tom,
this is the thing about Malcolm Roberts has said that NASA is manipulating data and then it's a UN global conspiracy. That's what climate change is. And also the Bureau of Meteorology. Should that be taught in schools, that our organisations, government organisations, are manipulating data?
Well, I believe they are, because I've seen some of that manipulation myself.
What is that evidence?
Well, the evidence is in the records that have kept prior to 1910, that they're not releasing those records. So let's see a balanced view of all this and how they collect the data for it in global warming. It's very... Look, this is Malcolm Roberts' area
that,
to do it, so
you're just...
I'm not getting into that.
Okay.
Tom, didn't you just have a baby, or are you about to?
Yes.
About to. Wouldn't you like to know that if your child goes to school, that they're going to be taught a balanced view? I know your opinion, and watching your debate with Malcolm Roberts the other day, that you believe it is climate change, it's man-made.
I just go with a lot of our mainstream scientific organisations that have done a lot of different...
Don't you think that you would like to see your child have a balanced view of what is taught in that classroom, to actually get their brain thinking, is this really the truth? And not people pushing their own
I
agenda
think critical
on our
view is a
children.
great thing, but I think as well
Correct.
children should be taught
and that should be
what the
carried through
accepted
in life
science
too,
is.
that you can actually challenge things in life. If you're actually hounded in the classroom and you can't have a balanced view of things and how to look at it, how are you going to carry yourself through
But
life?
this is again the balance. So you would have children taught along the Malcolm Roberts view that the Bureau of Meteorology is falsifying data, manipulating data.
You put both sides of the argument, both sides of the fact. Like I said to you, in the UK schools, when they put forward the film of Al Gore, now, when they actually then put across, they didn't put across the other side of the other scientists who made the film The Great Global Climate Change Swindle. That wasn't put as a balanced view to let's look at the real information here. So on one hand, you've got scientists saying that's not the case, and on the other hand, scientists
But
saying
it's not just
is.
two groups. One is massively larger in number compared to the other.
And whose opinion, Tom?
But also,
in your opinion?
No, these are the published scientific papers. That's
Tom,
the fact
we
of
just
it.
told you the evidence handed down by the IPCC is not always correct. They said the Himalayas were melting. They weren't. If it's even a court case, Tom, I'm going to leave you these papers, all right?
Okay.
And this is where it was challenged, where it was a media perception from the media that actually put out that the glaciers, because it was an individual group who were pushing their own agenda, and the judge said, if I had known it was put out by the media, that the Himalayas, he said, my view of this would have been totally different again.
Let's take a step back, though, and look at a normal science curriculum in high school. And it's casting back a little far for me, but it's not really putting forward points. You learn how to test hypotheses. And so what's the issue with saying the hypotheses we're going to test is climate change man-made? Because it's the process of testing the data. What's wrong with that in a school setting?
A balanced view. So
But it's not a view.
let's have the... look, a lot of the science put forward today about climate change, man-made, where's the peer review? Malcolm Roberts has asked him from the Greens, who've been pushing this agenda on the floor of Parliament, to have a debate with him. They won't even have a debate with him. Where's their evidence coming from? Why is Malcolm Roberts, his evidence that he's put forward, why is that disregarded?
What do you mean, where's the peer review? It's everywhere. There's a lot of
No, it's not.
peer
A lot
review.
of these science don't have peer review with it, and you take it for granted what they say.
What do you
well,
mean?
What about all these...
What significant report are you saying isn't peer reviewed that everyone's accepting they shouldn't be?
No, they should be. Scientists should be peer reviewed,
Yeah,
and a
but-
lot of it is not, Tom, and we take it for
What do
granted.
you mean by a lot of it? A lot of what? The IPCC data?
And the IPCC has put out false information, and that's a known fact, Tom.
What false
haven't-
information?
I told you that about the Himalayas.
The Himalayas.
Other information I have. I haven't got that with me. I've got this about the court case, and I think you should read through that. The judge's statements.
Happy to have a
with
read of that.
Okay, maybe we can just move on and quickly cover off before we go about the coal discussion in Queensland. We do know that that's a big issue, in particular in the Nats. Do you think the government should be putting up $4 million for an exploratory feasibility study with taxpayer money?
No. Go ahead and build it. We've already had a coal-fired power station there. It has worked. So why spend another $4 million? I think it's just a big farce to say, we're moving ahead with this, we're going to do something about it. If you're really serious about it, just go ahead and build it instead of wasting another $4 million. Too much money is thrown into feasibility studies when it should be actually built.
Do you take any responsibility for any of the discontent in the Nats at the moment? We know one of the big issues that they had was you getting credit for the Dairy Code of Conduct and work in that space. Do you think you should be working more with the Nats?
I'm quite happy to work with anyone, which I do, if it's good policy for the country. But when it's not, and I'll let them know it, Bridget McKenzie was so opposed to the Dairy Code of Conduct. It was the National Party that actually voted against my bill for a fair farm gate price for milk. Now, the stupid part about it is that David Littleproud doesn't have a clue what the hell he's talking about. He comes out and says that to put a floor price on milk is going to affect our free trade agreements on dairy. It's got nothing to do with free trade agreements. It's about putting a domestic farm gate price on our milk. It only affects a free trade agreement if we export more milk, which impacts on the global market of milk. We're not going to do that. We've dropped from 12 billion litres of milk to 8 billion litres of milk a year. So David Littleproud, again, doesn't know what he's talking about.
All right. Well, Senator, thanks for your time. Speak soon.
Thanks, Tom.